Imagine a brilliant scholar who nailed the hardest exams of his age, only to be rejected because of his face. He was called ugly, monstrous even. Shamed and furious, he slammed his head against the palace steps and died. But death wasn't the end. In legend, that scholar came back as a ghostbuster god, swinging a sword, riding a tiger, and dragging demons in chains. His name is Zhong Kui, and for over 1,000 years he's been China's patron of exorcism. He's almost unknown outside Asia. That's about to change. The studio behind Black Myth, Wukong, has picked him as the star of their next game. And for anyone curious about who this fierce figure really is, the answer is stranger, darker, and more human than you'd expect. Let's start at the beginning. Long before Zhong Kui became a man in legend, his name referred to a tool. Ancient Chinese texts mention a heavy wedge or hammer called Zhong Kui, used to drive out diseased spirits. You can think of it as the ancestor of the cross, or holy water in Christian tradition. A physical object meant to ward off evil. Over time, people turned the object into a person, and that person became the ugly scholar who would terrify ghosts. The turning point comes in the Tang Dynasty, around the 8th century. Emperor Xuanzong of Tang fell ill. While bedridden, he dreamed that a mischievous little demon was stealing from the palace. Suddenly, a tall, wild-eyed man appeared, seized the demon, gouged out its eyes, and devoured it. He introduced himself as Zhong Kui, a scholar who had failed the exams. The emperor woke up, cured. Convinced this dream was a divine message, he ordered the court painter Wu Daoist to capture Zhong Kui's likeness. The image, huge eyes, bushy beard, sword in hand, was copied across the empire. That's how Zhong Kui entered the mainstream. What started as a strange dream became a state ritual. By the end of the year, families were told to hang Zhong Kui portraits on their doors to keep away demons. Some of the earliest surviving manuscripts from the Tang era even include texts for New Year's Eve exorcisms, with his name. In other words, he went from a one-off nightmare to China's official ghostbuster. Over the centuries, the story filled out. Later plays and novels said he wasn't just any failed scholar. He had actually ranked first in the exams, only to be denied because he looked hideous. In rage and despair, he killed himself at court. That injustice, people believed, made him the perfect figure to punish evil spirits. He was cheated by the living, so he found his power among the dead. Art cemented this identity. Ming and Qing dynasty scrolls show him striding with an army of little demons or riding a tiger across the mountains. Some images made him a stern official in robes, almost like a magistrate of the underworld. Others turned him into a grotesque monster with bulging eyes and fangs. Households pasted woodblock prints of his face on doors like a demonic scarecrow. Emperors even gifted Zhong Kui paintings to ministers at New Year, believing they would protect their families. What makes him compelling is the duality. On one hand, he wears the scholar's cap, a reminder that he once belonged to the elite. On the other, his monstrous face and ghostly retinue mark him as something outside human society. He's both victim and judge, scholar and demon, grotesque and righteous. It's a combination that feels almost like a character out of Game of Thrones. Wronged, vengeful, and powerful in death. In Daoist tradition, that contradiction gave him real weight. Taoism teaches that the universe runs on the Tao, the natural order, and those who embody virtue, called Di, can align with it. Zhong Kui, even as a ghost, embodied that virtue by punishing evil. So Taoist texts elevated him to the title, Lord who bestows blessings and guards the house. He wasn't just a rogue spirit anymore. He was a divine officer, commanding ghostly troops and enforcing cosmic law. This is where he differs from Buddhism. In Buddhist stories, troublesome ghosts are often pacified through compassion or chanting. In Daoist practice, they're kicked out or cut down. Zhong Kui fit that worldview perfectly. He didn't negotiate with demons. He slashed them with his 7-star sword, a blade said to carry the power of constellations. For families facing plague or misfortune, his ugly glare was a shield against the chaos of life. And the traditions weren't limited to dusty texts. In Shanxi province, especially near Xi'an, villagers still stage Zhong Kui dances during festivals. Men put on oversized masks with bugged-out eyes and wild beards, marching through the streets to chase away evil. These rituals have been passed down for centuries. They're part theater, part exorcism, and part communal reassurance that the village will stay safe another year. Zhong Kui's reach didn't stop at China's borders. In Japan, he became Shoki, the demon queller. Families hung his image to ward off smallpox, especially during outbreaks when medicine offered little hope. Edo period scrolls show him towering over tiny demons, much like a samurai ghostbuster. Fast forward to World War II, and the Japanese military named a fighter plane the Nakajima Ki-44 Shoki, carrying his reputation for ferocity into modern battle. All of this, the art, the rituals, the borrowing across cultures, shows how versatile Zhong Kui is. He can be a tragic scholar, a terrifying ghost king, or a stern official. That flexibility is rare. Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, is bound to one story, Journey to the West. Zhong Kui is bound to none. He's more like a figure who drifts between tales, picking up whatever role people need at the time. That's why he's perfect for a modern game. When Game Science unveiled Black Myth Zhong Kui, the trailer showed him riding a tiger, flanked by spectral attendants. It echoed old paintings, but also set the stage for something new. In gameplay terms, he offers endless possibilities: sword combat, spellcasting, commanding ghost armies, even detective-style hunts for spirits. The pool of monsters in Chinese folklore is bottomless, from river demons to fox spirits to plague ghosts, and Zhong Kui can fight them all. But beyond the mechanics, the emotional core is what makes him fascinating. He isn't a born god. He didn't ascend peacefully. He failed. He died. And only then did he find his calling. He enforces justice because he was denied it. In that sense, he's less like Thor and more like Batman, a figure forged by injustice, who uses darkness to fight darker things. The tension at the heart of Zhong Kui's legend is what keeps him alive. He's grotesque but righteous. He's rejected by the human world, yet trusted in the spirit world. For ordinary people, that made him relatable. You didn't have to be perfect to protect your family. You just had to stand against evil. His scowling face on the door wasn't just decoration. It was a daily reminder that ugliness could still guard beauty, and that misfits could still wield power. Over time, writers and artists used him as a mirror for society's anxieties. In some stories, he's a harsh judge who maintains cosmic order. In others, he's a drunken wanderer with a demon entourage, half comic and half terrifying. In that sense, Zhong Kui wasn't only about ghosts. He was about the human fear that the system might fail, and the hope that someone, or something, would step in. For global audiences, this is where he becomes especially interesting. He's not a trickster like Loki, or a saint like Michael. He doesn't wear spandex or save the world with lasers. He's closer to the Ghostbusters crossed with a Shakespearean tragedy. A man wronged in life who comes back swinging in death. His story has been retold for over 1,000 years, painted on scrolls, carved into masks, and chanted in rituals. That longevity gives him gravity. So, who is Zhong Kui? He's the scholar who died in shame, the ghost who returned in power, the judge who commands spirits. the mask that dances through festivals, the scroll on a family's wall, the god who leapt from dream to empire to video game. His tale proves that myth isn't just about heroes who win. It's about outcasts who find meaning after loss,